Hello friends, and welcome back. Today, we're diving into chapter 224 of Kengan Ashura, a thrilling manga series known for its intense martial arts battles and gripping storyline. In the previous chapter, tensions were high as Kuroki Gensai found himself struggling against the formidable Kano Agito, who seemed to have the upper hand. But will the tides of this battle shift in Kuroki's favor, or will Kano Agito maintain his dominance? Join us as we uncover the twists and turns of this epic clash in Kengan Ashura. On the first page, we see Kano hunched over, sporting an ominous smile as he reveals his formless kata, a detail immediately noticed by Naoya Okubo from their last match. With a quick dash, Agito launches an attack and throws a punch at Kuroki, who manages to block it. Upon receiving the blow, Kuroki realizes that Agito's fighting style has undergone a dramatic change. It's as if he's facing an entirely different opponent. Meanwhile, Metsudo Katahara and his bodyguards observe the match from above. Minotaur ridicules Agito for reverting back to his formless style, however, the other bodyguard disagrees with him. He states that Agito using formless is not a bad move at all. He then explains that because Kuroki is a manifestation of martial arts, Kano can't match him in martial arts alone. The best way for Kano to face Kuroki is to counter him using a tactic outside of martial arts, hence why Agito activated his formless, as he too has reached the same conclusion. Agito then unleashes a barrage of attacks at Kuroki. But Kuroki remains unshaken by the onslaught of attacks. While enduring Agito's strikes, Kuroki realizes that Agito's attacks have become more difficult to handle since he adopted the formless style. Despite the onslaught, Kuroki manages to find an opening. The focus then shifts to Metsudo Katahara as we're transported 23 years into the past. The scenery resembles a mining site, with Katahara's men digging through the rubble. Ario Kore, a close friend of Katahara, observes the site from a distance. He expresses disbelief at the purpose of their visit, only to find out that someone had performed a gruesome experiment on humans called gu. The narrator gives an explanation for gu, a form of sorcery practiced in ancient China, where centipedes are placed in a seal jar and forced to cannibalize each other until one survivor becomes the host of gu poison. Kure is disturbed by the thought of someone conducting such heinous acts on humans. Soon after, both Katahara and Kure are alerted by a guard shouting that they've found an entrance. The next page reveals a buried underground door, which they begin to open. As they explore the tomb, Kure realizes they're too late to save the victims of the gu experiment, except for one survivor. In the darkness sits a mysterious man, blood and sweat dripping from his body. Upon closer inspection we can see that this is Agito. This encounter marked the beginning of Metsudo Katahara's relationship with Agito. Returning to the arena, the intense battle rages on as Agito continues his relentless assault on Kuroki, bombarding him with a flurry of attacks. Despite the onslaught, Kuroki manages to seize an opening and launches a spear hand strike at Agito. A powerful shockwave erupts as the two fighters clash, but Kuroki's hand seems to be compromised. Kano seizes the opportunity, catching Kuroki's attack and gaining control of his arm. Reminding Kuroki of his earlier words about using all of himself, Kano proceeds to dislocate Kuroki's left arm. Katahara is left shocked as he witnesses Agito's latest evolution. He delves deeper into Agito's past, revealing him as the sole survivor of a brutal gu ritual, where he fought through madness in an excessively brutal environment. After rescuing Agito from the gu ritual, Katahara took him under his wing. He used every form of education at his disposal in order to keep Agito's animalistic side under control, which resulted in Agito turning into a calm level-headed fighting machine. But it didn't fully suppress Agito's animalistic side. The occasional twisted manifestation of his repressed instincts manifests in his formless style, essentially his berserk state. Now, having mastered both martial arts and his formless style, Agito's fighting style displays a varied attack pattern, akin to two masters of different styles fighting in unison. Kuroki's left shoulder was dislocated, and all four of his fingers on his right hand were broken. As a result of his injuries, he lost both of his devil's lances. Kuroki finds himself in a dire situation, exacerbated by Agito's continued evolution. Agito delivers a punch to Kuroki's face, however, Kuroki manages to maintain his composure and retaliates with a strike of his own, but Agito dodges the attack. Agito then taunts Kuroki saying that his options are limited, suggesting that he has no moves left to make. Suddenly, Kanoa's hand is pierced by Kuroki, catching Agito off guard. Agito questions if Kuroki somehow recovered his left arm, but upon inspecting the damage to his hand, he realizes that the wound was not caused by Kuroki's left arm. Kuroki throws another attack, but Agito dodges and realizes that Kuroki is attacking with his thumb. But despite all the punishments he has received, the Devil's Lance is still alive. In chapter 225 titled Solitude, the scene shifts to Mount Shibara Daisen, a temple surrounded by a mountainous landscape, described as a holy land where martial artists have trained since the Kamura period. At the temple entrance, 4 individuals stand, including Iai, the high priest of Daisen Temple. Iai is thanked for his training by a man who bids farewell to his friends and teacher, addressing them as Dei and Hoku, who respond with a chant. Dei praises the man's incredible strength, particularly his ability to endure the purgatory austerity, spending 3 days and nights in prayer surrounded by unceasing flames, a practice fatal for many but accomplished effortlessly by the man. Iai refers to the man as Sudari, explaining that his strength has rendered him solitary, with no one left to rival him but himself. He expresses a hope that Kuroki finds someone who can alleviate this solitude. We return to the intense fight between Kuroki and Kano. Kuroki's previous attack leaves Kanoa's left hand bleeding, and it appears that Kuroki has miraculously repaired his left arm. Agito deduces Kuroki's method, realizing that Kuroki utilized centrifugal force to reset his elbow, which heightens Agito's caution. Taking advantage of Agito's mental state, Kuroki then goes on the offensive. Agito, uncertain of Kuroki's next move, is caught off guard as Kuroki lands a powerful left hook, inflicting severe pain. The impact hits the organs, but the organs don't feel any pain at all. Organ pain is caused by the peritoneum, which covers the visceral. The impact is sent through the peritoneum, then into the liver, causing a decrease in blood flow, resulting in functional decline. Kuroki then uses his thumb to attack Agito, but Agito manages to block it. However, Agito gets hits with a headbutt by Kuroki, followed up with a left elbow to the stomach. Just 3 near blows was all it took for Kuroki to cause immense damage to Agito. But why is that? Reflecting on past opponents like Wakatsuki Takeshi, a man who had the strongest punch in the world, and Gaolang Wongsawat, a man who had the fastest strikes in the world. Agito had overcome both these men, yet 3 strikes was all it took from Kuroki to turn the tables of this battle. But why is that? The answer to these heavy blows was a technique called the void, as Kuroki delivers a right-hand chop to Agito's shoulder. Kuroki had already worked out the timing of Agito's switches between formless style and martial arts, and Agito also became very cautious of Kuroki's Devil's Lance after getting hit by it earlier in the match. And this caution delayed all of Agito's attacks, and since Kuroki's attacks came from outside of Kanoa's awareness, he could not defend against them in time, thus they landed. These heavy blows were perfected through decades of training. They strike Agito without warning, resulting in blows that carried immense impact. Oma Takeda observes that Kuroki is landing these devastating attacks despite his broken fingers, while Kano is using his indestructible technique, designed to withstand opponents' assaults, is proving ineffective against Kuroki's onslaught. Oma is left to conclude that Kuroki's attacks are simply too potent for even the indestructible technique to handle. Agito, feeling the pressure, attempts to create some distance, but Kuroki refuses to relent. He knocks Agito off balance with a palm heel strike, followed by a middle knuckle fist. Kuroki then unleashes a flurry of attacks at Agito, backing him into a corner. Demonstrating a high level of combat expertise, Mikazuki Rei is left frustrated as he realizes that his own immaturity technique is being outclassed right before his eyes as he spectates Kuroki's performance. The narrator then explains that mastering a technique is simply not enough, it is knowing when to use the right technique at the right moment. This pinnacle of martial arts was no more than ideal, but Kuroki has put it into practice. Kuroki then lands a palm heel, knocking Agito back. Seizing the opportunity, Kuroki launches his Devil Lance to finish off Agito, but a sudden strike to his ribs catches both Kuroki and Wakatsuki Takeshi by surprise. It is then revealed that Agito has started to utilize his kicks. Witnessing Kanoa's resilience, Tadahara wonders if Agito is still evolving, which indeed proves to be the case as Kano evolves yet again. Agito retaliates with an overhead punch that knocks Kuroki back, surprising both Ichiro and Kuroki with its effectiveness. Within seconds, Agito switches to his formless kata and lands a clean hit on Kuroki. By shaving off milliseconds from his transition time between formless kata and martial arts, Kano was able to incorporate kicks into his fighting style and land them on Kuroki. He hits Kuroki with a low kick on his knee, cracking it on impact. While observing Agito's latest evolution, Metsudo Katahara expectations of Agito was exceeded once again. He thought Agito had finally reached his limit, but he was proven wrong by Kanoa's never-ending evolutions. Agito has begun his revenge, and unleashes a barrage of attacks at Kuroki. However, Kuroki manages to block them, but his forearms receives all the damage. The damage inflicted on him triggers a new power to emerge from Kano. He throws a left knee, but Kuroki blocks it, and rushes toward Kano, falling into his trap. Kano lured him in to unleash his special attack. A huge shockwave can be seen as Agito fires off his ultimate attack. This attack is a swift blow with minimal movement and the shortest range. It's called the Dragon Shot. It's the attack in Kanoa's arsenal with the most firepower. Ryan, Oma, Ichiro Katahara, and Kirimi watches as the Dragon Shot unfolds, but unfortunately for Kano, it misfires. Kuroki destroys Agito's right wrist, rendering it useless. Kuroki then acknowledges Agito's strength, offering him his last rites as an equal. That's all for today, folks, but the next chapter will be the finale of this arc, so stay tuned for that. If you've made it this far, thank you for sticking around until the end, and if you've enjoyed watching, be sure to leave your predictions in the comments on who will come out on top in this fight. With that all said, have a nice day or night, and I'll see you soon in the next video.